know I had previously mentioned that sometimes after doing a lesson, I'll either get direct knowledge or synchronicities will happen not long after getting my conscious mind out of the way and stop thinking about it, which will then compel me to do another video with the added information or synchronicities. This is one such video, just some extra tidbits of things that we had just gone over. Last week I had mentioned that I had broken 100 subscribers. This week it's up to 120. And I'm not doing anything differently. And I'm still getting the same subs to views ratio of about 1%, which I said I would get in the very first video. So why the sudden increase? Because 20% of everything I did in 9 months, all in 1 week, is some pretty mad growth. That's pretty impressive. It's incredible. There are a couple reasons for this. And the first reason is that all growth goes through cycles. The beginning stage is the slowest, at least by all appearances. And it's an incubation gestation period. It's like planting a seed and having to wait for that seed to sprout and then push up through the soil. That's always going to seem like the longest period to wait for the growth to happen. Same thing with pregnancy. You had to wait 9 months in your mother's womb, most of you, in order to develop enough for further growth to be sustained when you're born. But once that seed sprouts and pushes up through the soil, or that baby is born, the rate of growth really takes off, just like a snowball rolling downhill. The snowball effect. All the effort was in packing that original snowball. You ask any multi-millionaire, and they'll all tell you the same thing, that their first million was the hardest to acquire. That was their gestation period, their incubation period of being a multi-millionaire. But once you know about this first stage of growth and take it into account, you can achieve anything. Because what most people do is they give up. And typically right before the incubation period is over. It's like a late-term abortion. It's the impatience and the lust for results that get them every time. And the average attention span of most people today doesn't help either. This first stage of growth is going to vary considerably depending on what you're doing and how you're doing it. A seed isn't going to take the same amount of time as a human baby, which isn't going to take the same amount of time as a kitten, or a puppy, or a YouTube channel on Magick, or a YouTube channel on comedy, etc. But whatever it is that you're doing, stick with it through the incubation period. Because when it's over, things will start to really take off. I truly want each and every one of you to succeed, because my success with this channel depends upon your success. See, I'm a firm believer in the win-win situation. There isn't much point in doing these videos if people don't take and apply the knowledge for their own success. Which brings me to the next reason of the growth, is that I'm grateful. And I expressed that gratitude in last week's video. I'm grateful for you, because without you, there would be no me. Gratitude is the attitude for optimal growth. And I'm not the one that came up with that. Napoleon Hill's talked about that. Bob Proctor's talked about that. And it's a concept that goes back to biblical times and probably even beyond that. But gratitude is often misunderstood because people tend to be grateful for only what they have or what they're going to get, and which is part of it, but you also need to be grateful for the hard times, the failures, the mistakes, and ideally grateful for everything and just being here, just being a part of it all. It is an attitude for all times, because it's those hard times that are going to strengthen you. It's those mistakes and failures that are going to teach you and provide a course correction on your path. And you have to even be grateful for the annoying people in your life. Because gratitude is not judgmental. So whether good or bad, be grateful for the experience and your growth will really accelerate. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about has to do with the lesson we did on Baneful Magick. I had told you that there are some people out there saying, yes, it's fine to curse your enemies. Well, one of the more prominent voices encouraging these things has recently come out offering their services as a magician in ritual and magic, and will do anything for you for an exuberant fee, except Baneful Magick. For as they put it, they'd rather not open that can of worms, or get involved in spiritual battles. Now this is pretty telling when the people encouraging you to do Baneful Magick aren't willing to do it themselves. See, if there was no karmic backlash, wouldn't it be just like any other magical operation that they can offer? I'll leave it for you to decide that. And the last tidbit I want to go over involves a link to another channel. His name is Dev, and he caught my attention, interestingly enough, talking about water and the memory of water. Now, I knew this already, but he started talking about the polarity of the molecules of water itself, the hydrogen and oxygen. And, you know, if anybody's talking polarity, it's going to have my ears perk up. So, interestingly enough, he's one of only 2 other people that I've come across that talks about the value of going barefoot and grounding with the earth. Now, he didn't say the word ground, but he's got the idea. Now, the video on the memory of water was very interesting in that he talked about the further you dilute it down, when it gets to a certain point, the more potent it gets, which defies all logic. Now, the reason for this, if you watched the last video I did on Science versus Religion Resolved, should be obvious to you. How can anything get more potent the further diluted down it is? Well, when we take a look at the elements, fire and air are the projective masculine elements, and water and earth are the receptive feminine elements. And the receptive side, the subconscious side, the more simplified things are, the more potent they become. So I want to thank Dev and his video and Synchronicity for providing yet another example of what we were talking about. And that will do it for today. So until next time, take care.